Welcome back to another episode of the Edmo Show. Yes, we are getting into our typical Wednesday schedule. We are recording live on YouTube and Instagrams via the cell phone. So, of course, if you guys are on Instagram, if you guys want to see some of the slides that I got up here for you guys today, you guys can just jump over to Instagram so that way you guys can check that stuff out. Now, but before we get into anything, as an American citizen, we have this thing called the Constitution. Within that Constitution, we have what is called the Second Amendment, which acknowledges your rights to keep and bear arms. If you live in the D.C., Maryland, or Virginia area and you want to learn from the professionals, contact my friends over at FTI. That's Firearms Training Incorporated, where you will get basic safety, marksmanship training, concealed carry certification and recertification, stop the bleed, and much more. Just go to ftigun.com and schedule your class today. So, of course, we are going to get on this theme of demonic dating. That's the series that we got going on for our typical Wednesdays. We started out with a Tinder swindler, and so I just decided to just go ahead and just stretch them creative juices just a bit. But if you guys want to go over, of course, I'm being empowered by this delicious black coffee with the sweet cream today. Oh yes, only drinking out of the finest Edmo Show receptacles that you guys will get anywhere. So let's get into this thing right now. So of course, we got here the different kinds of demonic dating. And I think I forgot to take a slide out. Yep, I forgot to take that slide out. So as we talked about, there are some demons that people pick up or encounter during their dating process. And I like to call these people dating demons. A lot of us have run into them. A lot of us were them. I knew I was at one time. So, when you're just out there acting like a little hellion and you're not really giving a damn about much of anything. So, I don't understand why my audio sounded so weird. So, we are going to get into the first one, which of course is the devil, aka the accuser. And of course, I got like little tidbits on all of these. Of course, now just keep in mind, a lot of these are sexually ambiguous. They can be male and female, but there are some that are exclusively male or exclusively female that I have up here, and I have one that's a tag team. So of course, we got the first one, the devil, the accuser. The devil never faces or accepts responsibility for their actions. When talking about the past, it is always someone else's fault. When mistakes happen, it is always your fault, and they are also an exploiter. So someone who's a devil, of course, we got those people out there that jump out into the dating scene. They're not quite over their past. They're still bitter. They don't want to sell. They don't really know what they want, but pretty much their ex or whoever, sometimes there are some exes that can be very very negative and nasty and all this other stuff. So we got those kinds of people, but these are the people that aren't over it yet. They don't really realize where they were wrong at in their situation. They don't really realize what they did to contribute to their situation. And it's never them. It's always, they play the victim pretty much, and a lot of times if you really pay attention, you can really pick up who this person is. When you start dating them, of course, topics of, oh, so tell me, why did you and your ex break up, or when was your last relationship? And the moment they start talking very nasty about their ex or who or whatever, they're not over it. I was definitely fault to this one as well. Where after my divorce, oh, trust me, my ex-wife was anything but a human being at that point in time. But these people now, anybody who's any of these demons that I got spelled out here, they can always be reformed. They can always redeem themselves. They can always turn from their ways. So someone who is a devil or an accuser, the first thing that they got to do is take responsibility for themselves and their decisions that they make. First, it starts, and 9 times out of 10, the first thing you got to do, and you got to wean yourself off. Ain't nobody gonna stop cold turkey. You got to take the blame for the fact that you entertained that person. Whoever your ex is, whoever the person that you feel did you dirty, you got to accept the fact that you invited that person into your life, into your bed, or whatever. It's never always going to be 100% someone's fault. And the weirdest thing is, I hear dudes talk about their baby mamas and all this other stuff. And excuse me, we got the studio mic. Hey, yeah, he think he's slick, trying to get to the cat bowl. So we got those people that that they don't take responsibility. That you got to entertain those people. And a lot of men that I find, it talks about their baby mamas and stuff like that. It's like their baby mama is a scum of the earth. Now, I have met some that are very unsavory, but remember, you picked them, you hooked up with them, you slept with them. So you got to take blame in that capacity. So now we're going to move on. Next slide. So the next slide is the vampire. The vampire is a soul and a mood sucker. Like, these are the people, being in their presence is very draining and depressing. And they're often drama filled. They're often like, they will suck on your emotions to the point where you just feel depleted anytime you're around them. Every time you're around them, you just feel so negative. You feel so exhausted. You feel so angry, and you have really nothing to be angry about. I've been around those people to the point where it's like it's like I should have called these people dementors. That's what I should have called them for all my Harry Potter fans. But I just want to go after the vampire because dementors aren't sexy. Vampires are kind of sexy. These are people, because the whole point is you're being attracted to these people somehow, some way. So a vampire will lure you in, or they will get into your space, or you invite them in, like in some vampire shows, like Vampire Diaries. You got to invite the vampire into your home and stuff like that. These people will bleed you dry. They will bleed you dry of all your emotions. They will, and even when you break up with them, they're still draining. Just being around them, just dealing with them is just draining. And and a lot of times these are people that are just very depressing, and these are people that need attention, or these are the people that just they want what other people have, and nothing is good enough for them, and they just take and take and take. Excuse me. Instagram, I can't really pause that. But for those of you that are on YouTube, you guys didn't have to hear that. So moving on from the vampire, we have the zombie. The zombie is a slow moving, all consuming being. Like the vampire, they will drain you until you are like them. The zombie stays in dead end relationships and goes nowhere. These are oftentimes endorphin junkies. These are people where it's like they gotta get high, they gotta get drunk, they gotta go to the club, they gotta do all these things to make them feel good. And oftentimes, like, and I'm referencing The Walking Dead, these jokers move in packs. Their friends are zombies. The people that they hang out with and associate with are zombies. And these jokers move in packs. They move in waves. And they look to devour everything. That nothing satisfies them. They and emphasis on the slow moving, all consuming being. These are people and these are oftentimes men that I find that these are the people who get in relationships and they never progress the relationship any further than where they started. These are the people that end up in multi-year relationships and they don't progress anywhere. They're stuck in time, and these oftentimes leaves women feeling like, oh, what are we? Where are we going from here? When are we getting married? That's why I said these are oftentimes guys. Now, are there women like this? Hell yeah, there are women like this. What was the show? It was Married at First Sight. I believe it was one of the previous seasons. One of the couples, Eric and Virginia. Yeah, that's their names, Eric and Virginia. Now, Eric was I believe he was in like his mid 30s, probably late 30s. He was a pilot. He was well to do for himself. And Virginia was, she was just the typical like frat bunny. She was the chick that you meet, even though I didn't go to college, but I'm just referencing something that kind of makes sense. These are the chicks that you'll see in movies, and for those of my friends who went to the traditional college route and joined frats and stuff or went to frat parties, these are the type of chicks that were always at the frat parties. They stayed drunk. They stayed hooking up. You know, they were known because they were wild and crazy. And these are the women that never progressed past that teenage college years where you're just, when you're like between the ages of 19 and 22. These are the women that are in that range. I would say 18 to 22 range mentally. You know, they don't move past that range. You know, it's like they're all about partying, they're all about turning up, they're all about this, they're all about that. And if you ain't trying to turn up with them, if you ain't trying to club hop with them, if you're not trying to go to spend endless nights and endless dollars at hookah lounges and all this other stuff, that those are the type of women that are do that will do that. And then when the dude ends up having an issue with the fact that their chick is always on turn up, she tells him, "You're boring." You know, oh, you don't want me to have any fun because you're afraid. You know, those type of chicks. You know, both men and women can be zombies. They're just stuck. All right, moving on. So this is where we're going to get the dualistic. You know, so we got the succubus and the incubus. Incubus for the man, succubus for the woman. Now, well, I should have probably done a little bit more time explaining, you know, and when I was doing my research, but I just want to give you guys general characteristics. I didn't want to go in depth on what these things actually are. If you want to do that, you know, just hit me up in the comment section. Say, hey, Ed, I would like for you to comment some more on this. And yeah, we'll get to it. So the succubus and the incubus, a highly sexual being, oftentimes lacks substance but relies on sexuality to keep someone around, most likely to become a baby daddy or a baby mama. But before, you know, yeah, but before we dive into further explanation, let's get on to our second sponsor. Many of us struggle with credit at some point in our lives. I know I have. If you have a 400 to 699 credit score and you want an increase, oh my goodness. Lord Hammers, I don't know what's up with these mutts, man. These mutts just they sit around, they sleep all day. Now they wanna get crazy. All right. Let me go back to my ad read since these animals wanted to destroy it. If you have a 600 to if you have a 400 to 699 credit score and you want an increase, I have a connection that can legally erase negative things like repos, foreclosures, late payments, medical bills, student loans, those goddamn student loans, evictions, and more. Just contact my friend Michael Stanley Jr., the Credit Savage, at 717-609-4829 and text the word credit. You'll get amazing results. So back to the succubus and the incubus. Yes, succubus for the woman, incubus for the man. Now, let me since we got a little bit of time, let me go ahead and just look up the differences, the biblical, since I got some time. All right. So, an incubus is a demon in male form who, according to mythology and legendary traditions, lies upon sleeping women in order to engage in sexual activity with them. It is the female counterpart, the succubus. Salacious tales of incubi and succubi have been told for many centuries in traditional societies. I'm sorry for that. So let's check Britannica. A succubus, same thing, sleeping with women in corresponding spirit in the female form called a succubus. In medieval Europe, the union with an incubus was supposed to be some to result in birth of witches, demons, deformed human beings. The legendary magician Merlin was said to have been fathered by an incubus. Parallels exist in many cultures. The word incubus is derived from Latin incubus, which means nightmare, or incubar, which means lie upon, weigh upon, or brood. In modern psychology usage, the term has been applied to the type of nightmare that gives one the feeling of a heavy weight or oppression on their chest and stomach. So, yeah. So, the succubus is the female version, and these are the chicks that oftentimes are going to be highly sexualized, and even in my opinion is the majority of women nowadays. These are the women that are highly sexualized. These are the women that are wearing in slutty outfits. They do things, they are wearing certain clothes to garner male attention. They try to use the male gaze and the male sexuality to their benefit. And oftentimes, and then the reason why I said that oftentimes these oftentimes end up being baby mamas and baby daddies is because these people are highly sexual. They don't think about anything else other than sex, other than getting their rocks off. And you will find when you get into these relationships with these people that the relationship itself is actually empty. And some people, I know I've had where you've been in relationships where it's nothing but sex. You can't talk to that person, talking to that person, you have nothing to talk about. The relationship aspect is non-existent. It's you two are on two different wavelengths, but the sex is amazing. The sex is very, it'll get you off your ex. It'll get you off your path. And these are the people that try to keep you around because they're very empty people. They try to keep you with sex. They try to keep you around while never progressing themselves. They never progress mentally, psychologically, professionally. They really have no other goals. And like the zombies, these people are very endorphin driven. These people are dope heads. They're dopamine driven. They want a higher, they want a more exciting sex life, and nothing seems to satisfy them. And these women are oftentimes, they can provide, these men or women provide nothing more than just sex. They don't provide no emotional comfort, no mental comfort. They just only provide a sexual release. That's really it. There's really, and when you look back on your relationships with that person, it was nothing but sex with that person. And some of us have been there, and sometimes it's probably just chemistry. Doesn't mean that this person is like that sometimes, but yeah, oftentimes, yes. All right, so let's move on to Legion. Legion. And now I like to think if this was Digimon, Legion is like the evolved form of the succubus or the incubus, and Legion is when you digi evolve into a baby mama or a baby daddy. That's when you hit like ultimate or like mega level. If for those of you who grew up in the '90s and you watched Digimon or Pokemon or something like that, but well, actually Pokemon, because Digimon they can flip back and forth. Pokemon you can't. Once you hit Legion, there ain't no going back. And I'm about to explain why. So, Legion, a single parent that involves their children in their romantic relationships, uses their children to emotionally manipulate their victims. And I can go on and on about that. So, these, again, oftentimes baby mamas, or these are dudes that will use kids to pick up women, or use someone else's kids or use their kid. But yeah, so the reason why these are more Pokemon, evolutions, because well, it's not like you can de-evolve from being a baby mama or a baby daddy, and not even abortion, because trust me, you got chicks out here walking around with 4 or 5 abortions on them. Yeah, just like there's always a cost to it. There's always a cost when you're getting pregnant by somebody. But yes, the reason why I call this demon Legion is because there are many. It's not just one. It's a package deal. For those of you that watched the old Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider, the first one, when he was fighting the actual demon named Legion, he said, "We are Legion because we are many." So that's why I came up with the idea for the Legion, because Legion is not just one demon. It's a collection. That's not to call kids demons, but they're a package deal. They come in with them whether you like it or not. So, but you got some moms that try not to be legions, And they try to either kill their kids through means of abortion, or they try to get rid of their kids by pinning them off on family members or putting them up for adoption. The missus and I, we watched this movie, and I watched this movie before, but we watched the newer version called Flowers in the Attic. Flowers in the Attic was a very, which I think I might do a movie review on it, but it was a book. I read the book many, many moons ago, but I watched the movie first, the original 1987 movie, which I like the 1987 version a lot better than the most recent version. I think it's 2015. But in the movie, in the story, Flowers in the Attic, you have a mom who, you have this family. The father ends up dying in a car accident. So the mom has to turn. She's estranged from her parents. So in order she was a stay-at-home mom. She never had any work skills or anything like that. So in order for her to be able to take care of herself and her kids, she decided to return back home to her family. Now, however, the caveat was she has to get back into her father's good graces. What we find out later on in the story was that her husband in the movie was actually her father's half brother. So she committed incest, and that her children were the spawn of incest. And the grandmother hated them. The grandmother hated the kids. Now, the father, their grandfather, had no idea that they were alive. And that was for a purpose, because the mom, in order to get back into her father's good graces and to get back into his will, because her parents were super wealthy, the caveat was she could not have had any kids at all. So what the mom ends up doing is they end up locking the children away in this room, and the room has an attic. They're not allowed around the house. They're not allowed to leave the room. They're not allowed to leave that space that they put in. They can't even go outside. So the mom, she is visiting them quite regularly, and then once she begins to get back into her father's good graces, back into the his will, the issue was she could not inherit his will until he died. So her kids had to remain unknown for years until he died. And ultimately, once the mom started falling in love with another man who she met through her father, she tries to secretly kill the kids. So you have women out there like that, which you know what? Now that I'm talking about it, I'm probably going to we'll do a movie review on it. But yeah, the story is really good. It's really jacked up in so many ways, more ways than one. But you have these people out here, these legionnaires, I'm gonna call them. They got kids and all this stuff. They try to use their kids as a means to kind of keep you around, because, and I'm just speaking from experience, not to say that my ex-wife was a legionnaire, but when you are in a relationship with, especially small children, when you are in a relationship and there's a small child involved, it's not like you can't engage with that child. It's not that you can't, like, because you're around that child 24/7. So naturally, you're going to develop feelings for that child. You're going to develop some sort of a parental attitude towards that child. So and depending on how the relationship is with you and that child, you may even begin to look at that child as if it's yours, even though it's not. So sometimes what some women will do, they will be completely heinous or whatever, and then they'll try to use the child as a means to control you, or as a means to keep you around. And I've even seen it to the part where you and the person are done, but yet you're still caring for the child. You're still giving money for the child. You're still coming around doing things for the child. And ultimately, the mother is benefiting because she's using the child as a way to keep you on the hook. And the only reason why I'm speaking, because I went through that. My ex-wife, she had a daughter. I was very close to that little girl because we spent all day, every day together. I spent more time with her than I did with my wife. And it took me a long time, and it took me years to kind of get out of that, because I'm taking care of this child. I came around, she was 6 months. So, you know, coming around, being there pretty much for a good chunk of her childhood, and then to poof, you're no longer there. And it is hard. It's easier for a child to grow out of it, depending on, or to forget you than you are to forget them. So things like that do happen. And which is why that one kind of made the list, because you do have some good men out here, or you do have some good people out here. That's not to say just men. There are some women too that bond with children. I know the missus, she had a similar situation, even though she wasn't married, but she had a boyfriend prior to me who had a very interesting family dynamic. Even though the guy she was with didn't have kids, but her ex was taking care of his, I forgot, significant his brother or sister's kids, and the kids were in need. And my ex-wife told me, she was like, she was making sure that they were getting up, going to school. She was helping them do homework and all other stuff, and she developed a bond with them. But the issue was, once the relationship was no more, it's like, what do you do? It's like, you don't want to leave the kids, but you ultimately have to, and that's, and it creates a messier situation than what it would be if the kids weren't there. That's not to blame the kids, but it pulls on your heartstrings, because it's like you feel like you're hurting someone that you don't mean to hurt. So we're gonna move on. The Jinn. The Jinn is a dreamer. They give only to receive, and they always have strings attached. Always has an ulterior motive, and they can emotionally manipulate you to invest in their goals. Oh my God. I don't know how many people that I know mess around with Jinn. So, nice little story, because most of these I've actually seen or experienced myself. So, I had a cousin who I'm no longer close to, because of a Jinn. So, a Jinn, she was dating this dude. And this dude, this girl she was getting her associate's degree, and she found this dude on, I believe, Tinder. They started dating and all this other stuff. The dude somehow managed to make his way into my aunt's house. And there was an issue because, the dude and my other cousins got into it, and then my aunt allegedly kicked them out. So then my cousin decides she wants to go to my dad's house. My dad allows her in. But somehow what my dad did not notice was, because my dad was always working, was that she also brought the boyfriend in. So one day I go to my dad's house to kind of help him out with something, or to because he was out of town. So I go to the house and I see this dude coming through the house. So immediately, me being me, he got met with some extra level of aggression, because I don't know who this dude is. I've never seen him before. What the hell are you doing in my dad's house? He drops my cousin's name. All right, cool. I said, all right, well, you can't stay here then, because I don't know you, and my dad never told me. So, dude decided, well, your dad knows that I'm here. All right, cool. So I called my dad. My dad told me, yeah, that's her boyfriend. And I said, well, dude says he's staying here. He says, no, he just comes around every once in a while. I said, oh, okay. Because dude had a key. So my dad was like, oh, all right. So he's like, I'll take care of that when I get home. So my cousin comes around. I see her like an hour later. And I asked her, I said, well, did you clear with my dad that you got this dude, this grown man in my dad's house? Mind you, that's not my dad's daughter. And so you are staying with my dad's house. He allowed you to stay. He didn't allow him to stay. This is a grown ass man. What is a grown ass man doing in another grown ass man's house? So dude ends up, she's sitting there telling me that she's all in love with him, and he's a model, and he's working on his rap career and all this other stuff. And I said, all right, sounds like a lot of red flags. Dude is a model. Dude is trying to be a rapper. I don't know how many dudes try to be rappers nowadays. And I said, okay, well, if he got all that, why is he lugging around with you? If he's a model and he's a rapper and doing shows and all types of other stuff. And she goes, well, he got into it with his roommate. Strike number 2. Ultimately, the situation went from unsavory to bad to worse, to the point where the cops and the law got involved. So before all that, I tried to warn my cousin and tell her that this dude that you're lugging around is not good for you. This dude is a user. This dude is a dreamer. He's telling you, he's showing you pictures of him at photo shoots. He's showing you these pictures of him at these little wannabe clubs and stuff where he may be trying to rap and do whatever, but dude ain't got no record label. He ain't got no paper, he ain't got no money, so you're pretty much wasting your time. So she was like, well, everyone else doesn't believe in him. I make sure that I believe in him. And I said, well, honey, that makes you retarded. Because if you don't see what you're dealing with, this is a girl who's in college right now. This is a girl who is trying to get her life on track, but yet she's making dumb side chick decisions for a dude that has nothing but dick and bubblegum. Because she got sold into the dream. This dude ended up putting his hands on her and all types of other stuff. So, but because of that, because of the type of dude that I am, I try not to get into other people's business. I say what I say, and then I leave it at that. And I tell people, hey, you can do what you want to do. Just don't call me when it goes south. Surely enough, dude ends up putting his hands on her. She ended up breaking up with him. I don't know if they're together still, but the last I heard, they're no longer together. Hopefully. But these dudes got ulterior motives. These are users. Users always have ulterior motives. They will tell you what you want to hear. They'll tell you what you want to know, or tell you what sounds good. Some of it may be true, because I don't think people would lie about what their goals and dreams are, but they're not moving in a direction to attain them. These are the people that just think things are just going to fall from the sky. If I wait around long enough, I will get my break. If I'm just in the right place at the right time, something will happen. If I just keep shooting free throws in the gym, I'll get picked up by the Lakers. No, that's not how this thing works. But women get sold on these, and men too. Trust me. I got caught like that. I was dating a girl who, because I like women that could take care of themselves. That was always my requirement, because me being in the military, I had to know that the woman that I'm dealing with, especially if I have kids with her, got to be able to take care of her own. So dating this girl, everything sounds good. She's telling me how she's trying to go to college. She's trying to do this, that. She laid out a whole roadmap. Did not hit one thing. She started going to college, but then she dropped out. Never went back. Now, that's fine. I dropped out of college. So I'm not going to hold that against her. But when trying to go after more lucrative jobs, all she kept saying was how she's not good enough, or how, and all this. She was very negative about herself. But what caught me was the fact that she was cute and she said all the right things. So, of course, with that experience, when I started dating my wife, all I'm hearing is, okay, college, intelligent, doing all these goals. All right, cool. But that just made me watch my now wife even more, and she's hit every single last goal she's ever had. So be careful of the gin, because the gin will damn sure get you. So the next one, is the Ouija board demon, the Zozo. Only communicates through text messages, DMs, chats, and apps. Rarely sees them. Can be damaging if you don't close the connection. These are your catfish people. These are your or they don't necessarily have to be catfish. These are because you can meet them. I've met people to where we would hang out once every blue moon, and you would get them, but their biggest form of communication was text messages, or they'll stay on the app that you met them on. They're always too busy for you, pretty much. These people are very elusive, and these, some could say, are possible cheaters, but these are people that, they got a strong talk game. They got a strong talk game, but you'll never meet up with them, or you'll seldom meet up with them. And, they always seem to have something going on. There's always something more important, There's always a tragedy around the corner, the typical catfish stories, and a lot of times, a lot of their stories that they say don't make sense. and that's why I say a lot of times these are people that are cheaters. These are people that got something at home, or they got something that they're dealing with on a consistent basis, and then they keep you on the hook. Now, my yeah, some of you know my philosophy. Hey, if you're dating, there's nothing wrong with dating multiple people as long as you're upfront and you're honest about it. If you're dating multiple people, just be straight up. Hey, I'm not, I like you, I want to pursue you, but hey, just so you know, I'm also dating other people, and that'd be cool. As long, because my outlook on life is never make decisions for other people. Let people make decisions for themselves. If somebody wants to stick around for that and they sign up for that, they sign up for that, and that can go for men or women. Hey, ladies, if you want to date other men, before you meet or you entertain a man seriously, just let him know, or semi seriously, just let him know, hey, I like you, I like where this is going, but I also, I would like to see other people, just for me, some dudes will be like, hey, some dudes won't say anything about it. They'll be like, "Pfft, shit, okay, I mean, if you doing this shit, I'll do it too. Me and my wife are like that. When we started dating, we were dating other people. We were very vocal about that. I'm not only seeing you, I'm seeing some other people too. Now, you don't need to know any of that. You don't need to know their business, whether all the, because then that's when you cross the line. But when you are serious, just say, hey, look, we've been rapping for a while now. I would like to take this thing more exclusive, because I'm really gravitating to you, or I'm really like enjoying being around you. Stuff like that. Then, be like, hey, well, in my line, when I told the wife, hey, I'll cut off all the hoes for you. And surely enough, I did. Because, that I was a different man back then. But, but the Ouija board demon, these are people you'll never get a straight answer out of them. You'll never get a straight answer from them. If you call them, they'll send you straight to voicemail, or their mailbox is always full, or they'll text you back as soon as you call them, or they're always tired, or they're always sick, or they they got something to do, and yeah, a lot of these people are just, they're a waste of time. So next one, and this is becoming a growing issue. The false god and gods. As y'all can tell, I wrote a lot on this one. So, a being that demands praise and sacrifice. And by sacrifice, I mean your time, your money, your resource, and a place in your home. And the reason why I say a place in your home is that could be a drawer, that could be a key, that could be anything. Claims a position that they have not earned. The like, y'all could just be dating and having a good time, and then they wanna act like they're your girlfriend, they're your wife, they're your fiance, or you could just be dating, and then they be like, oh, I'm his woman, I'm his fiance, I'm his wife. Because y'all, we've been together for 3 years. I'm like your wife now. No, you're not. You're not my wife, because you ain't got no ring on it and you ain't got my last name. So, and they have other worshipers. 9 times out of 10, these people got other worshipers. You are not the only one. These are people who are very ego driven and narcissistic. These men and women. Trust me, I've seen dudes lose their shit. They start dating a girl who got a place of their own. They want a key. They want to have access to it. They end up like putting their PlayStation or their Xbox in there and stuff like that. Girls, they do things like leave panties, leave feminine objects there. They always want you to spend money on them, i.e., the women. There's some dudes like that. There's some dudes that are very good with the finesse game, that they'll have you spending your money on them. They want your resources. They want to be able to drive your car. They want to be able to, do all these other stuff. And yeah, these people are very ego driven, but yet these people are very fake. Like I said, they got other worshipers. They can be in your house or in your apartment or in your domicile on your couch eating your food, and they're texting another person. These are people that will ask you like serious questions, or like, do you love me? Why do you love me? Yada yada yada. Like, they want that praise. They want their ego boosted all the time. Oh, if you love me, you will do X, Y, and Z. If you love me, you'll give me money. If you love me, you'll do this, you'll do that. These are the, and then they're very wrathful if they don't get it. They're very wrathful. And that's which is why I call them false gods and goddesses, because they just love praise, and these are people that are oftentimes extremely good looking, but and they know that they're good looking and they know that they can get other people. And sometimes they'll get other people, or they'll have a lot of situationships, you know. It's very toxic. All right. Now finally, the fallen angel. The fallen angel is a person from a good background and upbringing who went down the wrong path. Can become a devil, a succubus, Lilith, I had Lilith in here, but Lilith is really a succubus. I didn't take that out. So often dealing with psychological or emotional trauma. So before I get into that one, let's go ahead and read from our last sponsor. If you're suffering from acne and dark spots like I do, or you just want to clean, or you just want a deep clean or wax, contact my friends over at New Skin Cosmetics, where you are guaranteed a certified esthetician and all natural products with no chemicals. Just text 202-507-9577. So yeah, the fallen angel. And I have seen many of these growing up with kids, with church kids. Sorry. Growing up with church kids, pastors' kids. These are oftentimes pastors' kids. They come from good backgrounds. They come from stable backgrounds, but then they get around somebody and that just gets them off the path. That gets them hooked on alcohol or drugs or something. They end up becoming any one of these demons that you see that we talked about earlier. Or they're a product of divorce. They grew up with their parents split up, they don't know how to deal with the trauma, so they start acting out. These are kids who you know who either had a death in the family, someone who died very close to them. And that's why I'm very somber about the fallen angels, because these are people who just, they truly went through something traumatic. It's not, I mean, 9 times out of 10, but sometimes it is self-inflicted. You come from a really good home, a structured home, but because you want to be a little thought pocket and act out of character, or you want to get through that little rebellious phase, you get yourself in too deep. You get your wings clipped and you fall from grace and all types of other stuff. These are people who just, they for some time they can't catch a break. One bad decision leads into another bad decision, leads into another bad decision. These are oftentimes your teen parents. These are oftentimes, the kids who come from broken homes, or, or they come from the picture perfect family where they have such high standards that they crack under the pressure, or they have a highly successful sibling or highly successful parents, and then these kids just can't catch a break. They just don't know where to turn. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to keep up and stuff like that. And then they just end up making bad decisions. They don't seem to check in with people, or they don't seem to, they're easily influenced by the wrong thing. These are the people that get around their friends and their friends start influencing them, even though their friends don't have anything, but because they want to fit in, because they want a place to belong. These people, end up falling. Now these people can be redeemed, though. These people, once they pull their head out of the caboose, these are people that once they realize and they repent for the things that they've done, they make amends, or they just accept the tragedy that happened to them. They get counseling, they get therapy, and they move on. These people live very productive lives for the most part, if depending on how much trauma and damage they did to themselves on top of things that happened to them. So the fallen angels, these are probably the most redeemable out of everyone, because it's like they know what it means to be good. They know what good looks like. They know what stability looks like. They know what they know how things should be. However, something just happens. Something just happens along the way. And that, like I said, these people got a lot of trauma. They got a lot of hurt. They got a lot of pain and stuff inside of them. And they just need help trying to figure it out, how to process it all. But yeah, so that's pretty much wraps it up. If you guys please, you know, which one have you experienced? Which one have you been? Trust me, I have definitely been. I've never been. Well, I've been an accuser once when I was very badly damaged. I was never a vampire. I was never a zombie. Let's see. I might have been an incubus once, in my early years. Yeah, I was definite. You know what? After my divorce, I was definitely an incubus. I was definitely like highly sexually driven because it's just like I was anti-love, anti-relationships, anti-everything. Just let me get my rocks off and go about my business. Let's see. I was never a djinn. You could have said maybe some women might say I was a Ouija board demon because hey, I was on the moves, man. It was never I never really cared about praise. I never cared about all that other stuff. But I could probably say I was definitely a fallen angel in my path because even though my parents were never married, but my mom remarried, so I knew what I knew what a good marriage looked like, even though my parents did a terrible job talking to me about it. But I loved them. My parents were definitely the working type, so they spent more time at work and me more time at school. So, but yeah, like I said, like these are people. You can be one, you can be many. Or you've encountered them. I highly doubt that anyone's never not been one of these dating demons. Because we've all made mistakes in our past. We've all either listened to our friends, got bad advice, listening to social media, especially listening to social media, listening to these rappers, listening to entertainment and stuff like that. It's just crazy. So we oftentimes turn ourselves into things that we never intended to be. You know. So if you guys, Bernie, what do you got?
I am once again asking for your financial support.
Thank you, Bernie. We are asking for your guys' financial support. But first things first, if you want to help us, please help our friends. You guys can go over to FTI. You guys can contact Credit Savage or go over to New Scan. Set yourselves up in appointments with them ASAP. Let them know Edmo sent you. But you guys can also go to our Teespring store. Get yourselves a nice Edmo Show mug, Edmo hoodies. We got all things. We got a whole bunch of stuff. We got leggings that says bigger, better deal. But if you don't feel like going over to our Teespring store, trust me, we got PayPal. You could drop however much you want in our PayPal as long as it's not your lonely bottom crusty dollar. But if it is your lonely bottom crusty dollar, please just give us 5 stars, a like, and hit that notification bell so that way you know whenever we drop a new episode. So until then, I will see you guys later. Peace out. Bye bye.